Continuing our adventures with the Starship Enterprise, we jump a generation, literally, and go to Star Trek Generations. And this is where the Next Generation crew from the television series sort of succeeded the original cast into the movie franchise. So we get a bit of a combination, a bit of a passing of the torch here from the original cast to the Next Generation cast. And of course, I'm very, very familiar with both television series, all the characters, and the film series. This is all new to you. So you have a little bit of background on the Next Generation because you've seen a couple episodes and you've watched Star Trek Picard. You have a pretty good background on the original series because you saw all the movies and a lot of the TV episodes. So I'll be curious to see how you felt about this particular film.
Well, in this one, I loved the beginning with Captain Kirk, but also with Captain Picard, the very beginning. I didn't like how Kirk kind of gets killed off in this one. I didn't really like that part. I don't know. I definitely think I like Captain Kirk a little bit more than Captain Picard, but I'm assuming that I will get into Captain Picard.
Right.
And I really like Riker. I'm excited.
And I'm not surprised that you like Riker because you like Kirk so much. Picard is a different type of captain than Kirk is. And Riker, as his first officer, was more in the mold of Captain Kirk. He's more of the guy who's supposed to be the swashbuckling adventurer in that grouping. And so when they brought the Next Generation cast up to films, with films they try to have more conflict in the film, in more action, let's say. Now Kirk works right into that. So the film series with the original cast worked well because Kirk is an adventure hero. He's like Horatio Hornblower, okay? And you don't know who that is, but he's a sea captain in a series of books. He's very, swashbuckling and full of adventure. Picard is a different kind. He's a diplomat. He's intellectual. He's got a great command style. He knows what his people can do, and he delegates that authority. He can be strong when he needs to, and certainly the episodes in the TV series where he dealt with the Klingons show that he's not unable to show physical strength and be in a fight, for instance. However, when they brought it to the movies, they tried to make him into an action hero, and that's not ever who that character was. So it makes it a little difficult, whereas, in some of the later films, they let Riker do some of the fighting, which works a little better. But you definitely see that Kirk is more of a fighter, right? And in fact, Picard has to go to Kirk to get help to fight Soren in that last segment of the movie. I was unhappy they killed Kirk off the way they did, too. I mean, I didn't want to see that character killed off at all. To kill him off the way they did, I thought was a little bit weak.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, I know that you told me there was a movie where Captain Picard kind of goes back in time to Captain Kirk, and I was really excited, but then when I actually saw it happen, not maybe the going back in time, but the way Kirk gets killed off, I really didn't like, and I wasn't as excited as I was when I heard that.
Yeah, they sort of, in a way, they rushed this into production in some respects, and the writers from the Next Generation handled the scripting. And while they were really good at scripting Next Generation characters, I don't think they necessarily did as good a job with the original cast members. Now, you could totally see, I mean, they obviously wanted McCoy, Spock, and Kirk to come back. Because at the beginning, you've got Chekhov, Scotty, and Kirk, and I don't even think they bothered to change the lines. Chekhov's lines were intended for McCoy. There's a point where he said, well, when is your medical staff coming? Let me guess, Tuesday. Okay, you just became nurses, and he takes them down to sickbay. Obviously, that was intended for McCoy. And Scotty's role was intended for Spock. And so they got the other two to come in, which was fine, but you should have rewritten the parts to fit those two characters. It should have been Chekhov and Scotty, not, Walter Koenig and Jimmy Doohan playing McCoy and Spock. So that was a little bit rough. And of course, we kind of kill off Captain Kirk at the beginning of that one, at the beginning of the movie. Then we kill him off again at the end of the movie. There is the suggestion that he's still alive because Guinan is in the Nexus, but she's also on the Enterprise, and she tells Picard, well, think of this as a what did she say, a reflection of me. So potentially Kirk could still be alive. It really is confusing, though. I mean, he goes and he finds Kirk in the Nexus, and they leave the Nexus. They can just leave the Nexus wherever they want to, which is very strange. It's very strange where he picks to leave. He takes them back to the mountain. Why not take them back to before the fire, when his nephew and his brother were killed? Or before, you know, where Soren destroys the first star at the observatory. Why not go back to there? Why that specific spot? You know, you could have gone back at any point in time. Why choose that spot? It was very convenient, a lot of it. As much as I love the Next Generation characters, this was not a strong entry for them.
No, I don't think so. But I haven't seen the generation, not this movie, but other generations. I really like Captain Picard, but I don't know. There wasn't a lot you got a lot of characters, and that's a bigger ensemble, and they can't give everybody something to do. They gave Worf a promotion. That was basically what he got to do in the movie. The emotion chip for Data creates problems because it takes the character in a direction that is new. So new people to the franchise wouldn't necessarily understand where Data had been. He's completely changing direction here, and he's very different. And the first time I saw the movie, all these funny lines he said in the movie were funny. Subsequent viewings, they're not as funny. It's kind of awkward and uncomfortable and cringy at points. So I actually liked the emotion chip in here. Okay. I think that Data was funny in it. I also thought that it was different for Data in some parts, but when he would sing, I thought it was really funny.
And that was funny. That's interesting that you say that, because maybe it's intended to be that way. You know, they needed comic relief. Maybe he provides that. Riker didn't have a ton to do in this film. Deanna got to drive the ship, and we'll get her driver's license revoked. I think she even Marina Sirtis commented on the fact, I finally get to fly the ship and I crash it the first time. You know, so it's kind of that's funny, but you know, and you know, I remember Geordi, LeVar Burton, saying, you know, about Geordi, he's like, it's really funny. For 7 years, we were always able to save the ship, and we get into a movie and we can't save the ship, and that's because the special effects company wanted to redesign the ship because this model and this ship filmed really well for the small screen, but not as well for the big screen. So they wanted to bring something in that would look better, so they had to destroy the ship. So, you know, a lot of things happen here. I don't think the way they write Captain Kirk out of the universe is fitting for a character as important and as iconic as that character to die in the way that they had him die. I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Me neither. I really liked him, and I don't think that was the best choice they could have done.
So out of the two captains, your favorite is?
Probably Captain Kirk as of now, but I might like Captain Picard after.
You know, the next film, First Contact, is sort of a critical and audience favorite, and I like that one too. I still feel it's a little bit not Next Generation, but I do like the film. And then it kind of goes off a little bit into left field after that with the next two movies, especially with Nemesis. So it'll be interesting to see what your take on those is. But as far as this one, Passing the Torch, I mean, we can look at it in a couple ways. So how do you feel about the original cast in this film?
I liked Scotty. Chekhov was okay for me. I really liked Captain Kirk at the very, very beginning. I didn't like the way he got killed off anytime.
Okay. And the Next Generation crew?
I think that they're funny. I really like Riker. Picard I do like, but I think I'd rather have Captain Kirk rather than Captain Picard.
All right.
But it could change.
Last take on the movie?
I'm gonna say between a see it and a skip it. I think that there are things to like about it, but I don't like the way they did some things.
Yeah. For me, the original cast is still stronger. Even in the small parts that they get to be in this movie, they show how much more interesting their characters are on the big screen at this point anyway. Even though, again, Scotty and Chekhov really aren't Scotty and Chekhov, they're more Spock and McCoy. Kirk definitely commands the screen whenever he's on it. The long-awaited pairing of Picard and Kirk was sort of anticlimactic because that wasn't written well. Nothing to do with the actors. They did the best they could with the material they had, but I don't think it was the right material. And I think they wrote him out of the, I think they wrote Kirk out in a weak way, and I don't think that was the right way to do it. The Next Generation cast, again, the actors did as much as they could with the material they were given. I think they were trying to do too much with this movie from a writing standpoint by trying to pass the torch. I don't think it was easily done necessarily. So the movie's definitely in the middle. It has its moments where I really enjoy parts of it. There's some really fun moments. I like Riker a lot, especially when they fire on the Klingon bird of prey. Great moment. But it's definitely in the middle. It's not up to what the ones before it were, but it was trying to do a lot. All right, so we'll have to come back and see what your first impression is of First Contact. See how never mind.